Hi, and welcome to my kitchen. It is berry picking season. And today we are going to be making a strawberry shortcake. I know the black raspberries are almost ready, and then it will be time for blackberries, but right now I have plenty of strawberries. So let's make some shortcake. Your shortbread is basically a slightly sweeter biscuit. So what we're going to start out with is a couple of cups of flour here. And then we're going to put just a little, I'm going to have to grind up some more flour. Okay, I want 2 cups of flour. Okay. And then I want about 1/4 cup of sugar. Not a whole lot. You don't want a whole lot in here. I forgot my teaspoon. I'll be right back. Okay, I got my teaspoon. So we need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. 1.5. And then you're going to want about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Put that in there. We're going to kind of mix this all together here. Now, for your fat, you can use butter. I've used all my homemade butter, so I'm having to use some store-bought. You're going to want about 3 teaspoons. Make sure that you can also use shortening. You can use whatever you want, as long as it's not like bacon. Leftover bacon. We don't want that in there. Bacon grease, I should say, I guess. So I'm going to take my box grater and grate this up really quick into my flour mix. Now that we've got our butter grated up in here, I'm just going to kind of mix this in. We want to get that butter all incorporated in really quick. But whether you're using tallow or you're using shortening or butter, you just want to get it mixed in really good. Now I'm going to take a little bit of vanilla. I keep my maple syrup jars and keep my vanilla beans in there. It's been sitting for a long time. You can't hardly see the beans in there anymore. Mix that in, and your milk. You can use buttermilk, you can use regular milk, you can use fresh, you can use store-bought. Just put it in there. I didn't even measure that. I just want enough to make the dough start coming together. Okay. I need just a little bit more. Not much. Now, this recipe can be adjusted if you're, need to make a lot of shortening. You can go up with your recipe. You can go up with your measurements. I usually don't measure anything, so you're lucky I measured part of it. Okay, this is looking about right. You want a nice, soft, but not too sticky dough. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can roll this out and use a cutter to cut it out, or you can just scoop it out by the spoonful and place it on your baking sheet. I'm just going to clear off some space here. I'll be right back. Now that I've cleared off a little bit of space, I'm just going to sprinkle a little flour down. Get that out of the way. Take my dough. Just going to gently roll this out a little bit. You don't want to overwork your dough because you don't want a tough biscuit. And I've got a cutter here. Now, you could, like I said, if you wanted to scoop these out with a spoon or with a cookie scoop, you could. I'm just going to cut these out into a nice little biscuit. I'm going to place them on my baking sheet. I've lined mine with parchment paper. We're just going to place these on here. Make sure you've got a little bit of space between them. Get the rest of this dough rolled out here. You can even flatten it out with your hand if you want. And this one I'm just going to shape by hand. All right, these are ready to go into the oven. I've got my oven preheated to 350. Let me just wipe my hand down here real quick. And I will bake these about 15 to 20 minutes, just until they're golden brown. Actually, I forgot a step. Sorry, my brain. So what I need to do with these really quick before I put them in the oven, because I forgot this. They will bake for 15 to 20 minutes, but you want to take a little heavy cream. I'm just going to brush the top of these with a little bit of heavy cream. Just brush it ever so slightly all over the top of them. Now, if you have a sanding sugar or a large grain sugar, which I have a sanding sugar at the moment, we're just going to carefully sprinkle a little bit of that over the top now that we've got the buttermilk brushed on there. You want a slightly larger grain sugar for this. If not, you can use regular granulated. It's fine. But the larger the grain, the more crunch it will have. Just sprinkle a little bit on there. Back in the container. There we go. All right, now these are ready to go into the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. So we'll be right back. So make sure you wash all of your berries, and then we're just going to slice these up and put a little sugar over them just so they will start to bring out their natural juices. These look delicious. I'm just going to slice them and put them in a bowl over here. Now for your sweet cream, if you're not using whipped cream or Cool Whip or, you know, whatever you like, Ready Whip, you can make sweet cream. It is just a little bit of heavy cream, like anywhere from a half a cup to a cup, depending on how much you want to make. Some powdered sugar and a splash of vanilla. And then take your mixer and whip that up until it's nice and light and fluffy. I already have some made up because we've been eating berries for a few days now. And we like to dip our berries in cream. So it's really easy to make your own sweet cream. And when these come out of the oven, we'll let them cool, and then it'll be ready to layer up our shortcakes. Now that our berries have all been sliced up, I am going to take a little bit of granulated sugar and just sprinkle over there about 1/8 of a cup. You just want to do this till they're sweetened to your liking. If you want to use a stevia or another kind of sweetener that you like, you can. So we're just going to mix these. Now I will cover this and let them sit so that they can start producing juice. Our shortcakes are done. Oh, they're hot. Let me just do this. I'll burn my finger if I don't. See, they got that golden. They're just a little bit dunner than I wanted, but I was busy and forgot about them. That one looks good. It's got a nice golden color to them. But look at that top. I'm going to let these cool just a little bit before we assemble our shortcake. So we're going to take our shortcake. I'm just going to take and split it open. Look at that nice inside. Now we're going to layer on the berries and the sweet cream. Look how light and fluffy this cream is. This one here. Take my top. Now if you want to do another layer of cream and berries on top, you can. Or this is ready just as it is. All right, we are going to try our strawberry shortcake. Dig in. Get some of that cream on there. My son just stole the whole plate. So, you know it's delicious. But that is how we make our strawberry shortcake. Thanks for joining us today.